Okay, let's see. So I added these sliders to change the foveation. This is on the quest. Resolution multiplier. You can see the resolution here. If we turn it up to 1.2, it'll be about the same as the frame. Getting about 60 frames, which is pretty terrible actually, but you can turn off the foveation and then the frame rate goes to dog shit. So this matters quite a lot, even if it only adds like a tiny bit of visual artifacting. At 1x resolution, it does 1600, which is about, you know, what 50% on the frame is for some reason. Yeah, so this is the same exact build as the frame. This is with recording going, so the frame rate will be a tiny bit lower than you'd want, but it's pretty decent at like 80-ish. I mean, I can lower the foveation again, and then it goes to 60-ish at one. I mean, this resolution doesn't seem like the full resolution, even though it's one time. If I do 1.2, it's more like the full resolution of the headset. And then you'll see it's like 40, 50 with no foveation tricks. And with foveation tricks, it's 70 to 80 at the full resolution. Pretty good. But yeah, as you can see, it adds some artifacting on the side. I don't know if you can see it on the video, I guess we'll find out. But the foveation is a lot less aggressive seemingly, but I think the filtering is just also a lot better, because the filtering is like softer maybe versus the frame where it's pretty harsh edges right now. I'm sure it'll fix that though. But it does seem to run a little worse on here, which I guess is to be expected because it's the Quest 3. Right, let me show the same build on the frame, mess around with the foveation and stuff. Okay, so this is Crittey in the frame again. This is the APK build. You can see it's doing 120 frames at 2160, so that's 100% resolution. And this is with pretty aggressive foveation still on. Again, I have these sliders. I can turn it way down. So this is no foveation, full resolution. As you can see, it's doing about 65-ish. Goes up to 80. Even 90 sometimes, and all the way down to 60, 50, something like that. I thought I saw 40 on there. So the foveation is doing quite a lot of heavy lifting in terms of like making things runnable. It only drops down to 102. Pretty good. And then this is the resolution multiplier. I can lower that. And then I can lower this to 0 again. So just at the 512 by 512 resolution. Pretty good. There's no foveation going on. It's doing 130. So it kind of depends on what kind of visuals you want and what kind of frame rate you're after. I don't know if players are ever going to get this amount of control in games, because ideally the developer just decides for you what way their game should be experienced. Oh, sorry. Bopped into something. That's great. I had some other questions. People wanted to see the pass-through. I don't think I can show that. I'm just gonna err on the safe side and not do that. The foveation is a lot less noticeable at full resolution, though. And this is still mostly doing 90. That hitch there was the wall getting destroyed over here. I still need one guy. There you go. But with the foveation off, I noticed that it's at full resolution performing sort of similar to how x86 does, maybe with like 20 more frames or so, which obviously can make or break a 90 frame counter, but it's also pulling quite a lot of watts, as you can see, and this is the APK build that is supposed to be like super efficient. So it turns out that x86 is not too much like less efficient. The big differentiator is foveation, which right now I can't enable on x86 yet, because for some reason OpenVR or OpenXR decided not to give it feature parity yet. I don't know why. Weird to me, but let me swap to the x86 build and we'll see the comparable performance. Because this, without foveation, seems to go down to, I don't know, like 50-ish at the low end. It does do 90 if I look certain directions, but with all these guys in the view, 60-ish. All right, now we're in x86, full resolution. I mean, the foveation slider's here, but it doesn't do anything, because the same paths don't seem to apply to x86 yet. I don't know if that's a Valve thing or an OpenXR thing, but it's doing 50 down to 30 sometimes. So there is a clear performance difference, but it's not as stark as it was with the foveation on the APK version. Which is pretty interesting to see, honestly. Because it means that when they do get foveation working on x86 builds, it'll run like not too much worse than APKs somehow. I don't know how they pulled it off, but I am fairly impressed. I think Climbing will just be rock solid 90 with foveation. And watt-wise, it's also pulling like 21, 22 watts, so it's like a similar load as the APK one without foveation, which is also good to know. This is slowing way down, doing 30, 40 frames. I can lower the resolution here to 512, 1512, and then it does about 90. And I think when this does have foveation, it'll be a lot nicer to run x86 games. I'm hoping Valve can do some magic with their Proton translation layer, because it goes from DirectX 12 to Vulkan. So they have some opportunity to sneak in there and inject like a fragment density map thing, which is basically what foveation is, where you just render the outside lower. And when they do get that working, I'll be making another video about that, because I think it'll have a big impact on how x86 performs on this thing. So right now it's usable, but it, could be better. and a lot of it seems to be, at least in this game, it's GPU based. Because if I lower the resolution and the frame rate goes way up, clearly it was choking on the graphics. I can lower it even more. I mean, at some point it becomes a blurry mess, and you don't really want that. This is 1080, which is like, I guess, first generation Vive resolution. It is consistently above 90 now, but I don't think anyone would want to play like this. And there's the stutter from building the bridge. On x86, that stutter is a lot worse, which I think is probably going to be a common thing, because the CPU instructions are getting translated in real time. Right. I need to cut bits of that out because it was showing the pass-through stuff. Well, not pass-through. Showing the compositor view. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty impressed. And excited for when they figure out foveation for PC builds. Not builds, yeah, builds. But for now, this is a pretty decent little test where it shows that foveation does help a lot. In terms of performance, which I guess a lot of people already knew, but I was just wondering how much of a difference it would make. Clearly, quite a lot of difference. Just fun to see. All right, that's it for this video. Hopefully, learn some more stuff. I don't know.